Good day. My name is Naweji Katembo. I'm a researcher at the ARC PHP, which is Plant Health and Protection. And I'm a researcher in the weeds division. What excites me about research is the fact that research usually for me, it speaks about unknown. So I like knowing. It is only through research that one is able to somehow know what most people would take for granted. So the reason I like research is because it's easy to believe in something, but when you add research, it becomes more pragmatic. And being a researcher at the ARC, there's a lot that is going on in the agricultural field. And my research typically looks at how to control alien invasive plants that are they have very negative impact to our environment, to our water resource, and ultimately to food security. So what excites me about research is working with the unknown and at the end of the tunnel, getting some answers to questions. Talking about food security, as I said, my research feed into food security. Climate change today, it has been for over, I don't know how many, 5 decades now. Climate change is all about all these patterns of weather that are unprecedented. We have situations where there's prolonged time of drought, and we have situations where we have a lot of rain, and all this is caused by human activity. So you find a lot of skeptics who tell you that climate change is nothing to be, worth noting. But if you look back at our activities as human beings, science has been able to trace back climate change to the Industrial Revolution. That's where we started seeing increases in carbon dioxide. So climate change, which is typically what we do as human beings, our behavior, what we eat, what we drive, our frivolous want to having these things. I'll call these things because most of the things that we accumulate as human beings, the behavior that we espouse as human beings, are increasingly contributing to the rise of carbon dioxide, which will inevitably impede on the food security. So say, for example, recently we hear about all these rains that have been pouring in the country in most regions. They will have a significant impact on food security because too much rain is not good for farming. And when bridges and roads are closed because of water, all that will influence negatively food security. So where do I see research in 10 years' time? That's a very tricky question. Research has been happening anywhere. Before I was born, people have been researching. And the single, almost most important impediment in research is finance, is funding. So we're seeing that in the years that we've just been, like a couple of 5 years back, going forward, we're living in an environment where it's becoming more and more difficult for researchers to certainly, have plans for any future research. But if it were for me, where I see research, particularly I work on Lantana camara, which is an invasive alien plant originally from South America. This plant has been, I went to visit a farmer this at a time, and the farmer was almost in tears because of this plant, which is causing like mayhem in his farm. And we had to tell him that, okay, you know what, first of all, don't take this personal. This plant is here to stay. We need to control it. And that's what I do, which is biocontrol. So biocontrol is a science that involves going into the country of origin, where a target weed, say lantana, like I said, is from, get some insects, bring them to the introduced range, which will be this country, South Africa, and hoping that these insects will somehow create such amazing stress on the plant vigor as to control it, not eradicating it. Because eradicating means you get rid of the plant completely, but controlling is to have a plant in our environment, but not as vigor as it would have been in the absence of insects that otherwise, eat on the leaves, eat on the flower part, and interfere with with rooting, and so that's what we do. So research in 10 years, if we have enough funding, I would love to see more young men and women, be involved in this science, because you can see my gray hair, very soon we are going out of the way. So I would want to invest in the youth of this country to love this part of science. And I always tell people, we've got a couple of students here at ARC. I always tell them that if you are here to make money, then this is the wrong place to be. But if you are here to invest, to grow, and to make a change, some change that might not be very palpable, but a change that is, in the long run, it's amazing amount of change that we could see. I tell young people to come here and learn. So that's what I would want to see research in 10 years.